Steve.
Dan Purdy is a former police officer in Queensland. He's the opposition spokesperson, Shadow Minister for Police and Community Safety. Someone else who's a former police officer is Dr Terry Goldsworthy, Detective Inspector previously at the QPS. These days he's Associate Professor at Bond Uni. Terry Goldsworthy, what's the brief? What's the role of a replacement police commissioner other than being the boss?
Well, I think they're going to be looking for someone who can come in and give some direction to the service in terms of what are their key priorities. One of them will obviously be getting on top of crime in general, and in particular there'll be a focus on youth offenders and youth crime. So that'll be, I think, a paramount one. The other issue I think that will be front and centre will be getting and restoring faith in the executive leadership, because the last Working for Queensland survey was quite problematic. Less than 30% of them had faith in the senior executive. And I guess stop the attrition of officers flowing out the front door, because the same survey indicated that 50% or more, 50% of them were looking to leave their positions the next 2 years. So they would be the priority areas I think that anyone coming in would need to fix. Restore the faith of the staff and also the faith of the community that they can address the crime issues.
So it's partly a political job as well as a human resources job, as well as tackling crime. What a nightmare.
Yeah, look, I mean, it is challenging. Whoever comes in will be faced with an election at the end of this year where there's, a strong possibility of a change of government. So they'll have to have some kind of political skills to move from one government to the other seamlessly. I mean, we don't want to see a situation where someone's appointed and the new government comes in and can't deal with them. I mean, that would just be a disaster for the service and a disaster for the community. So they will have to have some very good political skills, I think, moving around between different governments if need be.
My guest is Dr Terry Goldsworthy from Bond University. This is ABC Radio Brisbane. We're looking at the situation now facing the state government for the search for a new police commissioner to replace Katarina Carroll. Terry Goldsworthy, do they hire from within the ranks, or do they go on a search outside of Queensland or even internationally, maybe to the UK or New Zealand, to find someone to take over the role?
Yeah, I think that there may be one or two people inside the government or the QPS in Queensland who would be suitable. I think former Deputy Commissioner Bob G has now got experience across the breadth of government by working in other departments.
So he works in the Youth Justice Department at the moment or something, is that right?
Yeah, he's a Director General in the Youth Justice Department. And you also have Assistant Commissioner Mark Wheeler, who was very successful with the staff down here.
On the Gold Coast.
On the Gold Coast. In comparison to what's happening down here at the moment, there seems to be some kind of internal revolt going on. So he performed quite well up in North Queensland. So I would think Mark Wheeler would be certainly a consideration. And then, you might be going outside externally and having a look to see what talent is outside. And given, with the recent problems that we've had in terms of the executive getting the masses to follow them, it may be the case that you need some fresh eyes, some new blood coming in to give a different perspective on what we should be doing.
How does the police minister do this? Does he hand it over to a panel, or does the police minister, Mark Ryan, decide himself? Do you know?
Well, I mean, I'm still surprised the police minister's there, to be honest, Steve. I mean, I think, ministerial responsibility ends with the minister, and, he's underperformed for years, but putting that aside, I guess, he'll have some very direct input into who gets appointed. It'll need to be someone who can actually form a relationship with him in the government and work well with them. So I guess he was there for Ian Stewart. He was there for Katarina Carroll, so he'll just be going through the process again.
In the police force, a number of the sources I've spoken to have expressed frustration ever since the police felt they were blamed for Queensland's domestic and family violence issues. I understand a number of them felt very wounded by that whole process, and there's still apparently concern about one senior police officer said it's very hard to find good leadership above the senior sergeant level in the police force, there seems to be quite a few cultural and ongoing people management issues within the Queensland Police Service. Is that fair, Terry Goldsworthy?
Yeah, look, I speak to some people and as well inside the police, and the findings of the inquiry into DV responses, I think it did cause some disharmony within the police, that there was almost like a labelling of everyone was bad. And that's clearly not the case. It's an organisation with 17,000 people in it. So, I mean, that will be something I think the new leader, when they come in, will have to look at those, the DNA inquiry and also the DV inquiry, see what the findings were and see what is the appropriate response for the service. I mean, some of the responses that have been rolled out internally haven't been that popular with the rank and file. And, if you're going to have, culture change, you need to bring the people with you. And if you're not doing that, it's not going to work.
Right. My guest is Dr. Terry Goldsworthy from Bond University. Before I let you go, Terry Goldsworthy, I just want to raise two more names. So this state government, particularly under Anastasia Palaszczuk, was very keen to promote women to the senior roles. There are two women's names we've not mentioned, Debbie Platts, who's a commissioner, and Cheryl Scanlon, who's had a lot to do with youth crime of recent time. The senior police officers, would the state government be thinking about going back down the gender sort of path of making sure they're putting women in key positions like the commissioner role that Katarina Carroll is vacating?
Yeah, look, I would hope not, Steve. I don't think gender's got any role to play in appointing someone as the police commissioner. I mean, that should go to the person who's the most qualified and most capable. We've seen the glass ceiling as it was broken well and truly a number of years ago in terms of police in Australia. We've had a number of female commissioners. So, I think that issue is well and truly past its use by date, and whoever gets the job should be appointed on merit, not on a particular gender.
Dr. Terry Goldsworthy, thanks for your time.